Karnataka has been tense for the past few weeks, but now it is Shivamogga where all the action is. For now, it is under curfew, and for a special telecast, I want to now go across to my colleague Nabila Jamal. She's been in Karnataka and has been tracking all the latest on that. Nabila, over to you about what's been happening in Karnataka. The next half an hour by Nabila.
Right. Thank you very much, Pooja. I'm actually in Shivamogga district right now. Very tense situations here. Of course, the protests has been contained. People, of course, are slightly more cautious right now. Locals are very upset, as I see here. While I'm standing in one of the lanes called Azad Nagar area, we're seeing several locals who come out on the streets, seeing the media only to want to express their grouse that they're so disappointed with the authorities, the police department, because for at least 48 hours, they claim that there was heavy stone pelting. Protesters who wielded swords came into their localities, vandalized property, literally broke into the glasses of their homes. I'm standing in, at a house right behind me. You see window pane that's shattered, and this is a similar situation and scenes that you see across the areas in Shivamogga. And that's what's very sad, because most of these locals say that they called the cops repeatedly, but none of them intervened in time. Well, while we see this, we're looking at several political reactions coming in on the same. Of course, Siddaramaiah now, as he speaks, addresses a press conference, slams the police inaction. In fact, he says that Section 144 was imposed. How was the funeral procession allowed? Siddaramaiah there, Congress's leader, former Chief Minister of Karnataka, says that this is state-sponsored funeral procession for Harsha, and it absolutely violates Section 144. Siddaramaiah there blames the Bommai government for the violence, calling this an entire responsibility of the BJP government in Karnataka for not ensuring law and order in Shivamogga, despite Section 144. Let's hear it. We're looking at the prime accused in the Shivamogga murder case who's now been arrested. A 23-year-old Bajrang Dal activist has been hacked to death, and 5 of them who have been absconding have now been nabbed by the police, out of which 3 of them have been arrested. A confirmation that we've got from the police, but 1 still remains absconding. The prime accused here has been identified as Kashif, and the images that you see here first on India Today. Shivamogga Superintendent of Police BM Lakshmi Prasad has said that 3 persons have been taken into custody already, and further investigation into this murder is underway. Harsha was in fact murdered by unknown persons on Sunday, February 20th night, when he was on his way to have dinner. In fact, the murder has now triggered arson, stone throwing in the city during funeral procession on Monday afternoon. Out of the arrested accused, 2 have been identified as Kashif and Nadeem. A curfew has also been imposed in Shivamogga for the next 24 hours. As we see, locals, the residents around here are, of course, very worried about the situation that's unfolded. If I can ask my camera person to pan here, you have locals, of course, very keenly watching the developments here. As you know that there is a curfew in this district. There isn't shops, no establishments that have been allowed to open. We're looking at schools and colleges also have been fully shut. So here locals, of course, very concerned about the situation, peace and harmony in this locality. This is the same locality where we saw some intense protests, where protesters, we believe, vandalized property because they were so agitated and angry over the murder that now we see a complete curfew, a complete shutdown in the Shivamogga district. No establishments have been allowed to open, nothing at all, unless it's an emergency. We see the Seegehatti area. This is exactly the area where the violence took place and unfolded yesterday. We're seeing even medical shops, for that matter, being shut. It's entirely shut. There's no way that anyone's allowed to open up their establishment because the police have given out strict orders. The several bylanes of Shivamogga sees a very, very tense atmosphere. You see stone pelting that's taken place along these roads. You have glass pieces splattered all around this street, and this is almost a sight that you see in every bylane of Shivamogga, where glasses, window panes have been shattered. It's very unfortunate that the residents and the locals here eventually had to bear the brunt of this angry mob that came out in large numbers, wielding swords, protesting and condemning the murder that took place. While the police, of course, were trying to investigate on the murder, here you saw large-scale stone pelting and angry mobs trying to vandalize property only to vent their anger over this murder that took place. This is one of the roads that in Shivamogga, which has really been damaged. Few houses in a row here has been stone pelted at windows. Their glasses has been fully shattered. यहाँ पर पुलिस को आपने बुलाया था और पुलिस आई थी क्या?
पुलिस आई नहीं थी, कोई पुलिस आई नहीं थी।
कितने घंटे तक आप?
48 आवर्स तक बाद
48 आवर्स
यस आए थे, 1-2 पुलिस आई थी, वो आए, वो यहीं से चले गए। देखो यहाँ
इधर कुछ भी नहीं है पुलिस, इधर तक कौन भी नहीं है, पुलिस भी नहीं है इधर तक। तो
आप बुलाया था पुलिस को?
बुलाना क्या, इधर तक झगड़ा चल रहा, आना ना, खुद आके कंट्रोल करना ना, आ रहे ही नहीं ना।
पुलिस वहाँ से आगे आती भी नहीं, गली में यहाँ से पूरे पत्थर मारे, तोड़ रहे हैं, फिर भी कोई पुलिस नजदीक आती नहीं है, आगे से ही देखती है, वो मार रहा है गाड़ी, हम बोल रहे हैं।
We heard the residents. Of course, I myself have spoken to many of them. But as I walked through the lanes here, residents there really wanting to show what has happened. The stone pelting that they are showing here, in fact, very sad state of affairs because many kids, and these are really small, humble establishments, small homes of people who live in Shivamogga, which has now been ruined because of an angry mob. Even this building here, you can see glasses that have been fully shattered. And I'm telling you, this is a common sight along the lanes of Shivamogga. And as we saw, you have people of different communities living together. You have Muslims on one side, you have Hindus living very parallelly. And if a communal tension sparks the way it did, it's very easy for this entire town to turn into a hotbed, a volatile hotbed. And that's what we saw over the last few hours, in fact, last few days, and particularly yesterday, what happened was really very, very upsetting. Nolan Pinto has also tracked along Shivamogga bylanes. He's spoken to several of the residents there. Nolan, we saw some of the videos of stone pelting, and it was shocking. Residents say that they kept constantly trying to reach out to the police, but none of them intervened for at least a good 24 hours. And that's the grouse they have, that we are voting, we are hoping for security, but nobody came into our rescue at a time when we were really in need. Children who are eating, where in fact stones have gone through the windows and hit some of the children who are eating their food, their meals. I've seen images. It's really sad.
Well, Nabila, in the same area that you are, yesterday we were there and we could not enter any of those places until and unless the mortal remains was taken out from his home and towards the cremation grounds. Now, I'm actually about 150 meters from his house. This is the poster that I've actually put up, a banner in my background of Harsha, who lost his life. Now, what really happened yesterday was this. There were reserve police, the Shivamogga police were present over here, the rapid action force personnel were also present in these bylanes exactly where you were. We were not allowed to actually move forward. Later on, finally, when I actually walked around, what I could see was glass shards, burnt bikes, stones, bricks on the road. Now, what caught my attention was that you have so many police personnel, and in spite of that, you had all these incidents that took place. It begs the question as to what was the police doing? Did they allow this to just happen like that, or did they try to stop them, or did they just stand there? So a lot of questions being asked by a large number of people over here, that the police was brought in over here precisely to keep people safe because this is a sensitive area. Apart from that, you brought in rushed in personnel from Bengaluru and other districts as well, because you said that things might go out of hand. But people are saying that the district administration did allow things to go out of hand, especially in this particular area where he stays, with police presence over there. So a lot of questions that need to be answered by the district administration and the police.
Right, absolutely. Nolan, thank you very much. I'm going to keep coming back to you. In fact, India Today has the largest team right now in Karnataka, bringing you all those developments as it unfolds. We're looking at the hijab controversy that escalated to a point where we saw a murder that took place. Now, whether it's linked to the hijab row or not, that of course the police will establish in due course of time as to what was the motive of that murder that was carried out by some of those men. They have been arrested. 4 of them have been arrested. One is still set to be absconding. Now, we're looking at some really large claims that have come in by some of the leaders in Karnataka as the tension continues to simmer in Karnataka Shivamogga after the murder of the Bajrang Dal activist Harsha. A Facebook page called Mangalore Muslims has now been booked by the Karnataka Police for threatening and abusing Harsha. The page even called him a stray dog, accused him of insulting Prophet in 2015. The page had also earlier threatened the activist in 2015 as well. India Today has also now accessed the FIR into Harsha's murder case. The FIR after complaint by the father of Harsha, in fact, we see that the father says that Harsha was in Bajrang Dal. He was hated and was also threatened by some of the Muslims. Father also says in the FIR that Harsha had attacked, he was attacked by some of the Muslim miscreants on the 20th of Feb. The murder has become quite a massive political slugfest now as the BJP and the opposition parties trade blame. While Karnataka Minister K.S. Ishwarappa has said this murder tool it was instigated and took place only because of Congress leader D.K. Shivkumar's provocative statements. D.K. Shivkumar has hit back saying the case should be registered against Ishwarappa instead for making insinuous statements. The rest of the 5 men, would you be able to clarify?
2 persons have been arrested and remaining have been identified, and shortly those arrests also will be made.
Would you be able to name them?
The arrested persons are Kashif and Nadeem, 2 persons.
And where have you arrested them from?
That we still have to apply for remand. So after remand we'll be getting custody. So then we'll be able to tell much.
So any proof as such that these are the people who have committed the crime?
Yes, we have certain eyewitnesses, and apart from that, during interrogation also we have caught some leads.
Now, we're talking of day 2 of this entire aftermath in Shivamogga, but Nolan did try and catch the pulse on ground soon after that, the protests and the kind of arson that took place. Let's cut across to Nolan Pinto as he brings us the emotions on ground.
Well, it's 11 o'clock in the night and we are in the Seegehatti locality of Shivamogga. Now, the Deputy Commissioner of Shivamogga tells us that curfew has been imposed in Shivamogga town and surrounding areas, and only shops dealing with basic essentials will be allowed to be open. The rest are shut, and there's absolutely no traffic on the road as of now. But security is tight. In fact, you have personnel from the Rapid Action Force, the RAF, present over here, along with members of personnel from the Karnataka State Reserve Police who are also present. Now, this area is a very, very sensitive area, and that's one of the reasons why you have personnel from both the RAF and the KSRP present. Now, in Seegehatti locality, where we are standing, we're just about 150 meters away from the victim's home. So as of now, everything is extremely peaceful. Now, throughout the day, there were various incidents across this locality of stone pelting, burning of bikes. And that's one of the reasons why you can clearly see as of now that the Rapid Action Force personnel are present, even though it is late in the night, to make sure that law and order is maintained. Now, when we spoke to the DC, he tells us that curfew, section 144, is imposed in Shivamogga town till 23rd morning. Schools and colleges were shut today, that is on Monday, will also be shut on Tuesday, so that students are safe. They do not come out until the situation in the city is safe. With video journalist Madhuar, Nolan Pinto for India Today.
All right, now Nolan also spoke to the Shivamogga DC. Here's what he said about the commotion, law and order situation. Let's hear it from him.
Curfew has been imposed, sir?
Yes.
So this would be applicable for what, 24 hours, 48 hours?
We put it for till 23rd morning.
Okay. So you're talking about curfew, which means that even essential services will be shut?
Yeah, not essential service. Basic things will be there. Other than that, all things will be shut.
So this will be till 24th morning?
23rd morning.
23rd morning.
Now, we're looking at different claims as to what was the reason and the motive behind murdering Harsha, this Bajrang Dal activist, and several versions coming forward, one of which is from BJP MLA Bharati Shetty from Mangaluru. He's a Mangaluru MLA. He spoke to my colleague Shivarur. Here's what he had to say to be the reason to why Harsha was murdered.
Mr. Shetty, this particular incident, the horrifying murder of Harsha, certainly not the first killing on either side, but that's the one we're talking about right now. Are you saying that this is related to the hijab fight that has been on in Udupi and elsewhere? Because there is some confusion between the government and the BJP at this time.
No, it looks like it is related to the hijab issue, because there's a page called as Mangalore Muslims. They have been threatening him since 2015, I think, as far as I remember. Today also they have put that 2015 or 16 ka post, and they have told that we have done it this time. Now this issue, he has been threatened for a few other issues also from before, but now in his he has been very vocal about the hijab issue. It looks like now it is about the hijab issues.
So you're saying that he was under threat since 2015. Can you tell us a little bit about the nature of these threats? Are these threats only coming to light now?
Yes, that's what I said. In that Mangalore Muslim, there's a page called as Mangalore Muslim on Facebook. Okay. In this page, they were threatening him for a few other reasons since years. But now, then it was, then there was nothing after that. But now he was posting few things about hijab. He was talking about hijab issues, it seems. So it looks like now it is because of the hijab issue.
Is this about elections, Mr. Shetty? Do you think, because there is a theory that all this communal polarization and divisions that are taking place is a script that is playing out before the elections next year in Karnataka?
See, that there might be something else going on also. It looks like that. Because when the CA issue came, a similar modus operandi was used by few fundamentalist organizations. And they were trying to push the situation so that it will go into a civil war kind of a situation. And it didn't. The government handled it properly. They could not, do anything about that. And COVID and all those things were there during that time. We can see a similar modus operandi this time also. They are keeping the, ladies, females in the front, and during the hijab issue also. They were trying to get people on the streets and, make a big issue of it.
All right, let me quickly cut across to Nolan Pinto, who has spoken to Harsha, the boy who was murdered, his sister, a very, very agitated family. They're demanding justice. Here's what she has to say, an India Today exclusive.
If you go, it's easier. That is logic, no. You go. No,
we will just join more arrest agidega ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು they are also looking at
ಒಳ್ಳೆ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಕೆಲಸ. ಅವರು ಸಿನ್ಸಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆ ಮಗನ್ ತರ ತಗೊಂಡು, ಅವ್ರ ದೇಶದ ಮಗನ್ ತರ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೆಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಅಣ್ಣ ತಮ್ಮಂದಿರ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೀನಿ. ಅವರೇ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತೀನಿ, ನನಗೆ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವರೇ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮವರೇ. ನಾನು ಯಾವ ಹಾಲು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ
If you hold phenyl or milk in your palm, how will you know which is which?
ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಪೆನೈಲ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಹಾಲು ಯಾವ್ದು ಅಂತ ಕುಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮನ್ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡು
only after you drink it will you know that this is phenyl and this is milk. They both look the same. So that's the situation.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅವನ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ತರ ಏನನ್ನೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಹೆದರುತ್ತಿದ್ರು.
He never told us about any problems that he was facing outside.
ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ರು ಅಕ್ಕ,
He was a very good boy.
ಅವನೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
He always spoke to others with respect, telling others, elder sister, I'm here with you.
ಊಯೇ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ನಮ್ಮೂರ ಹೆಂಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟು. ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ
has a lot of unity among the people over here.
ಅಣ್ಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹರ್ಷ ನೋಡ್ದಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾರ ಮನೆಯವರು ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ.
No one knew who is who, but they all actually, once this incident took place, they are the ones who called the hospital authorities and took him to the hospital immediately after the incident took place.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಏನಾದರೂ ಗುಡ್ ಮೆಮರೀಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಒನ್ ಗುಡ್ ಮೆಮರಿ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಬ್ರದರ್.
ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಅಕ್ಕ ಅವಳು ಸ್ವಂತ ಅಕ್ಕ ಅವಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಜೀವನದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಷಣ
ಗುಡ್ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ
My father was in the hospital for 3 days.
ಯಾವತ್ತು 5 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಎದ್ದೊಳ್ದೆ ಇರೋ ನನ್ನ
He used to always wake up early. He would never wake up in the morning.
ಅದೇ ನನಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅವನು ಸಾಕು ನಿನ್ನ ಇವತ್ತು ಹತ್ತಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ.
He actually took me to the bus stand and put me on the bus so that I could go to the hospital.
ಅವ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಂದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ಸಮಾಜ ನಂದು ನನ್ನ.
He would always speak about one thing, about my religion, our society, the country, that our country needs to get a better name and a good name. Our society has to get a good name. That's what he would always discuss and talk to people about.
ಅಪ್ಪ ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕಣೋ, ನಿಮ್ ತಾಯಂದ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಅಕ್ಕ.
Everybody is one over here. Everybody has brothers and sisters and their parents.
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ರಿ.
What we have faced, others should not face. Everybody else is everybody are my brothers and sisters.
ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮಂಗೆ ನೋವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ,
Leave all the enmity. The situation that I'm facing today, others should not.
ನೋಡಿ ನೆನ್ನೆ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದ ನನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮನ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೂದಿ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್?
Today I went over there and collected his ashes. I could only see his ashes, not him.
We heard very, very sad expression of her anger, and she's of course very emotional. We hear Harsha's sister speaking, saying that she has no enmity and no animosity with anyone, for that matter. Even her brother was so nice and well behaved with every person, and he had to bear the brunt. Eventually has been murdered by some people, and that she demands justice for him. She's of course very, very, very upset and angry, and the only thing that they expect now is for justice for her brother, for Harsha. Nolan Pinto, they're speaking to Harsha's sister. She speaks exclusively to India Today, saying that this is so tragic. Harsha was such a nice boy. He has been very well behaved with the family, has always been such a great pillar of strength for the family, and at such a young age he was murdered. He has fallen victim to some kind of enmity, some kind of. Now, I'm going to quickly cut across to reactions on the story. Of course, we know that there is a lot of talk about whether or not this is linked to the hijab controversy. There is no one who has confirmed this for us so far, but a lot of angles as we see unfold, it almost appears that Harsha he was part of several anti-hijab protests, and was also allegedly targeted by some of the Muslim groups, asking him to not speak up, and eventually he was murdered. So was it really was it linked to the hijab controversy? Remains a question, but here is Akshata Nandagopal, who speaks to one of the anti-hijab activists, Rashmi, on the matter. Let's take a listen. Whereas bring you that, we know that Karnataka ministers itself, we're looking at the BJP unit itself, divided on whether or not this is linked to the hijab controversy. Let's take a look at reactions coming in on the same.
Poor student to get educated. So, fought for the death issues.
Now the case is going on in the Karnataka High Court. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Actually, the matter is pending before the High Court. I don't want to comment because I'm the part of the college. I'm respondent number 16. We have the trust. It's a good move of the interim order also, so that the court will give the good judgment in behalf of the student, because education is student must. There should be no differentiate between any poor, any community, caste, anything else, because religion practice is not a place for education institution.
So in this particular case now, a lot of leaders actually stating, giving a lot of explanations that this is the reason, that is the reason. What do you think could have happened over here? No doubt investigations are going on.
I don't want to comment in this issue. then we know what to do and what to take the action. So that we will come to know, because giving the bite is not a solution. Addressing the media is not a solution. So that we'll discuss in the future, in 2-3 days, we'll come to know. Because you know the man behind this issue, you come to know. Because the Taliban spokesperson also tweeted that Alia girl. Also the mother, the Mufti Muhammad, means something connectivity will be there. No? Also after the filing the writ application, they filed the IA to adjourn the case until the UP election result, means something link is going on. Because being a student, they should think about their education, because they don't have the voting right. Also they are requesting to adjourn the case in UP election till the UP election, means something must be there. No? Because now the thing is, Muslim girls are being misled by Muslim boys. They don't want their girls to get educated. If they get educated, they'll come in the front line winner. Then they'll come to know what is India, what is going on, what is Modi. So they don't want their girls to come out to be in freedom like others. If they come like, then after the 3 talaq issue, the most of the UP Muslims are supporting BJP. Yeah.
Since you came from Udupi, in Mangalore yesterday there was a case filed with the cybercrime on the Mangalore Muslim Facebook page. Do you know anything about that issue?
The department is taking action. The inquiry is going on. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Safe journeys.
As we see a lot of commotion that takes place, we see a lot of people now who's come down to Shivamogga here. They're, of course, trying to get a hold of the situation. You have several leaders who've also descended, a huge police force that has been deployed here. But this cold-blooded murder of the Bajrang Dal activist has really left this entire district sore. They're so upset. People here, of course, very, very apprehensive of the law and order situation. But I'm going to take you through exactly what was the sequence of events and how this has now become an open political slugfest. Listen in.
Shivamogga is on the edge. Schools and colleges are shut. A curfew is imposed as tensions rise over the murder of Bajrang Dal worker Harsha.
So when you're talking about curfew, it means that even essential services will be shut?
Yeah, not essential service. Basic things will be there. Other than that, all things will be shut.
So this will be till 24th morning?
23rd morning.
23rd morning.
There is high security all around amid the threat of violence. Harsha's death has divided the state, which was already split apart by the Hijab showdown. Harsha's family is in shock.
ಹೌದಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್, ಅವನಿನ್ನೇನೇನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ನ ಹಿಂದೂ, ಅವ್ನ್ ಜೈರಾಮ್ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟ. ನನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮ ನೋಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನ್ನ. ಹೆತ್ತೊಟ್ಟೆ ಹೆಂಗ್ ನೋಡೋಣ ಸರ್? ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಕ್ರೂರಿಗಳಿದಾರ. ಮನುಷ್ಯತ್ವ ಮಾನವೀಯತೆಗೆ ಬೆಲೆನೇ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಮಕ್ಳಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ, ಅವರು ಹೆತ್ತಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ, 1-2 ಈ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ ಸರ್ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ? ಎಲ್ಲಾರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಈಗ ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಆಚೆ ಹೋದವ್ರು ಒಳಗೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಹೇಳಿ? ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಒಂದ್ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಹುಡ್ಗ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಇರೋ ನನಗೆ ಬರೀ ಒಂದು ಹರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೂ ಅಂತ ಹೆಸರಿಟ್ಟು
ದೇಶ ಕಣಮ್ಮ. ಮನೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕೇಸರಿ ಶಾಲ ಇದಾವ ಸರ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಸನ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿರೋ ಬರೀ ಕೇಸರಿ ಶಾಲು ಮನೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇದಾವೆ. ಮದ್ವೆ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಕಣೋ. ಸುಮ್ನೆ ನನ್ನ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಸಾಯ್ಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಚ್ಚಿದ್ಯಾ ನೀನು ನಿನ್ ಮದ್ವೆ? ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಹಿಂಗೆ.
The police have made the first arrests in the murder case. 2 suspects held have been identified as Kashif and Nadeem.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವ ತನಿಖೆಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ನು ವರದಿ ಬರಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ಕೆಲವರನ್ನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರನ್ನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್. ಈಗ ಸ್ಥಳದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನೇನು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ. 3 ಜನ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಒಟ್ಟು. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ವಿಚಾರಣಾ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಆ ಸ್ಥಳಗಳನ್ನ ಈ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಾಯ್ ಬಿಡಿಸಿ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ.
Police are tracking 2 more suspects.
किसका सपोर्ट है ये पता चलेगा। सपोर्ट बिगर हुआ नहीं है, सपोर्ट हुआ है। किसी का सपोर्ट बिगर तो ये काम होना मुश्किल है, क्योंकि इतना छोटे लोग इतना बड़ा हादसा करने के लिए उन लोगों को हिम्मत कैसा हुआ है, पता जरूर लगेगा।
Harsha's murder has sparked a fresh round of political sniping. Karnataka Minister Ishwarappa, already facing the heat after saying that the saffron flag may replace the tricolour one day, has alleged that stones were pelted on the funeral procession of Harsha.
ಯಾವ ಶವ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರಂತ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಇರಂತ ಜಾಗಗಳಿಂದನೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಲ್ಲುಗಳು ಬಂದು ಬಿದ್ವು. ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದನೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಲ್ಲು ಹೊಡೆದ್ರು. ಇದು ಎರಡೂ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕುತಂತ್ರ ರಾಜಕಾರಣ ನಡೆಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
The opposition has called for the Home Minister's resignation over the law and order situation.
Whoever there as accused persons in this murder case, they must be booked. I demand the Home Minister's resignation because he is from Shivamogga district.
The BJP is demanding an NIA investigation into the murder of the Bajrang Dal worker. Saffron groups are also linking the killing to the ongoing hijab face-off in the state. The government says the investigation so far has not revealed any link. With Nolan Pinto, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, now we know that there are several voices coming forward over the hijab controversy that could be linked to this murder of the Bajrang Dal activist. In fact, Akshata Nandagopal speaks with one of the anti-hijab activists, Rashmi Samant. Here's what she has to say.
Rashmi, what stands out for me is that in a state like Karnataka, which has never seen these kind of scenes of, communal flashpoints, of violence, or flag marches being conducted on the streets of districts like Shivamogga, the question that then arises and hits you in the face is how has it come to this now? In your view, what's led to this kind of ugly politics and even a murder of a young activist?
I don't think it's a sporadic event because Harsha has been on an extremist hit list as early as 2015, and it's verified that there are pages on Facebook, extremist pages, which were literally asking to eliminate him. And this was from, I think, as early as 2015. I think it was just allowed to fester due to ugly politics within the state, and it has resulted in what happened with Harsha. And I think political leaders on either sides are responsible for this. When, these threats started coming in way back in 2015, it was Siddaramaya's government, and then governments have changed. We've had the Congress go out, we've had the BJP come in, we've had other parties break into. So I just feel like it's just dirty politics, which is affecting the lives of very young people. The hijab protests itself, it involved 13, 14-year-old girls and boys, and they should be in school and studying, not out there and, sort of ruining their life. They've been out of school for 2 years, for God's sake, due to COVID. And this is the first opportunity that they've had to go back to school and to, to kind of regain that sense of normalcy. But this is being politicized to an extent that even now they can't, find any sense of normalcy despite having missed out on school for 2 years. And the murder of a very young Hindu activist, it's alarming.